Hey guys, welcome back to the SUPboarder video. My name's Ruben, and this week we're going to be talking about getting the most out of your iSUP in the surf. We've been getting loads of questions via email, Facebook, YouTube and all the other social things you can do in the world today about how to get the most out of your iSUP when you're surfing. So we thought we'd put together a little video going over the few things that you can do to really help your iSUP surfing, and also stuff you can do to get your iSUP to surf the best. A lot of you may have seen that we've already done a review on the Red Paddle Co 2016 whip, which is a great surfing SUP. So if you want to see more about the whip, click on the link there and watch the video review of that board. But we're not really going to be talking about this board in general. We're going to be using this board as a demonstration. The iSUP is obviously very different to a hard board because of the rail shape, because of the different stiffness in the board, and also because of the shape, the rocker line, the underlying shape of the board is slightly different too. So let's go over a few things that are going to make your iSUP surfing experience a lot better. Starting right at the beach when you start pumping up your board, pressure. Okay, if you can get your board up to higher pressure as possible, or as I'm saying, the recommended pressure, let's say we're not going to go over the recommended pressure. The Red Paddle Co boards are recommended 25, so really I would recommend getting it up to 25, especially if you're a heavier rider. Just because you want to make that board stiffer. When you make the board stiffer, you'll have a quicker reaction time, you'll be able to move around the board will feel more steady and locked in under your feet. That is the same with all of the inflatable boards in the market. Get it up as hard as you can, especially if you're a heavy rider. So pressure, get your air in the board, it will make a vast difference. When your board's on the water and you're starting to paddle out through the waves, it's really crucial that you start to learn to paddle in a surf stance position when you're paddling over the waves. So that is moving your feet from the sort of normal parallel stance across to the switch surf stance. The reason for this is then you can put your body weight forward and back to get the nose of the board over the white water. So you'll see in some of these videos, you can spread your legs apart, put your foot at the back of the pad, lean on your back leg, and you force the nose up over the white water and climb over the white water, and then you can paddle on the other side of the white water absolutely fine. If you don't do that, because of the noses are all the same thickness as the rails, so for instance this is a 100mm board, the nose is 100mm thick, so you have to get that nose over the white water to make it a lot easier to paddle out. Get your feet in more of a surf stance, put your weight on your back leg and climb the nose over the white water, and it will make it a lot easier to paddling out back. When you're out back, you will find that if you can still keep your feet slightly offset from the normal paddling stance, so in more of this sort of angle if you're a goofy foot, or this sort of angle if you're regular. And just to be a bit confused, goofy and regular, when I say those terms, regular foot is if you're left foot forward and goofy is if you're right foot forward. Doesn't mean you're goofy, just means you're right foot forward. So you'll soon work out which you're regular or goofy. By doing this, you'll be able to do micro adjustments when the board is even on the flat, paddling out in slight choppy conditions. On a hard board, you could pretty much plant your feet in the middle because the board is not going to have any, it's going to be much more rigid, so the board's not going to flex. The inflatable, they do flex, they still, even the really good ones like this with the RSS batten and the stiffening board, they do have a slight amount of flex to them. So just find if you put your feet slightly offset, even when you're paddling around about back waiting for a wave, you will be more stable and you'll be able to sort of resist the chop and the slight cross chop that's coming around when you're paddling out back waiting for a wave. It is really important that when you paddle in for the wave, you are pointing straight in at the beach, or in other words, directly 90 degrees from where the wave is coming from. The reason for that is you want the board to track straight and true. You want to pick up the wave and just glide in on the wave and then start your wave ride. You do not really want to be catching the wave at a sort of 45 or 90 degree angle with your board, that angle from the wave. The reason for that is because the iSUPs haven't got the rail shape, so the difference in the thickness in the rail as a hard board would do, they find it sometimes quite hard to bite and to understand which way the board is going in effect. So if you paddle in straight to the beach, the fins are all working well, the wave is pushing you in, and you will not find you will bog a rail. What I mean by bog a rail is you might find that when you're at 45 degrees, you paddle in, and if I'm going right and the board's, this rail will start to catch and will pull you in, and you'll end up getting pulled in on the side and over the rail. If you've had it happen, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you have that happen and you want to stop it from happening, paddle straight in at the beach. That's probably the biggest tip we can give you when you first start SUP surfing. Even on a hardboard, you can also do this. Paddle straight in at the beach. It will make catching the wave a lot easier. When you're on a wave, riding your iSUP. Now this might sound a little bit strange, but you've got to ride your iSUP a little bit smoother. Okay, if you first started off and you haven't been any SUP surfing or any surfing before, this won't be an issue for you. If you've come from a performance or let's say you're an intermediate level at a hardboard and you're coming onto iSUPs, this is how you want to ride them. Let me give you an example. On a hard SUP of the same sort of size, let's say this whip, I'm riding an 8.5 hard SUP. I can pretty much go down the wave, I can slam the bottom turn on, I can turn quite aggressively up to the face, and I can redirect into a top turn. And I could also probably do that in relatively quite a short sort of space, maybe 20 feet or something like that. If you take an iSUP, even a good one like the whip, and slam a bottom turn in, and redirect it up to the face, what's happening is the water is moving past the board and its rails and the bottom line, and the water is trying to find grip or trying to find places where it can spill off the board. The iSUP hasn't got as much rail shape or rocker definition as a hardboard has. So what happens is the water can get a bit confused and the board can feel a bit light and unstable, let's say. So all you have to do, the iSUPs do surf well, but you just got to step them back and smooth your turns out. Go into your bottom turn nice and smoothly, come up to the lip nice and smoothly, put your top turn in nice and smoothly. So just calm it down. All iSUPs really do benefit from being surfed much calmer, much gentler than a hardboard would do. Hope you understand that and it makes sense. Maybe another way to think about it is an iSUP is like driving a really smooth, calm Rolls Royce down a country lane, and a hard performance surf SUP is like driving a rallycross car down some gravel track. Ride your iSUP off your back foot. Now the reason I'm saying that is because all of your iSUP's most controllable features, let's say, are at the tail of the board, at the back of the board. That is where the tail comes in, the fins are, everything is around this point here. This is more important than even riding a hardboard because you have a rail shape on a hardboard. The hardboard has a rail up here which still has control and gives you control on the board. The iSUP has the same rail here as it does do here. In the future that might change, but it has the same shape rail here as it does here, which is why you have to pivot and use your foot directly over the fin and at the tail of the board. If you put your back foot, press your back foot weight on your back foot when you're riding and even when you're paddling in on your board, the board will track better, it will ride better, and it will have more of a positive feel to the board. Like I was saying again about riding the board smoothly, also by having your back foot back, it makes the board realise that I'm in turning mode, I know my owner is using me and being very positive with me. If you end up riding with your board sort of up in this position and your feet in this position, you're riding with most of the rail here, and as I said again, that rail part here is the same rail shape throughout the board, so the board really won't know what's going on. So you've got to take charge of the board and use the back foot really to drive the board on the wave and in the turns and the bottom turns and so and so. Look at your iSUP fins. Now I'm fully aware that a lot of you out there have got iSUPs that have got the, let's say the iFin system, which is the thruster setup on the back. They're absolutely fine. But if you have got a US box like you have in the whip here, and a lot of other brands have got US boxes, have a look at changing the fin. Okay, now what I mean by that is the stiffer the fin you've put in, let's have a look at like this whip one here. The whip have put the Red Paddle Co have put a really nice stiff performance-based fin in here, and this does make a vital difference to the board. The stiffer, the more swept back, not too long, sort of compact, sort of maybe 7.5, 8 inch fin you put on your iSUP, it will make the board feel a little bit livelier and easier to turn. Let's say you've just got a plastic generic black fin in your US box and any of your boards out there, it will pay to just get a slightly stiffer, hasn't got to be really expensive, just a stiffer glass fin that will make a difference to the performance of your SUP. There you go guys, there's some tips on surfing an iSUP, from pumping it up to riding it on the waves. I really hope that helps out there. Let us know how you get on, but the most important thing is get out there and practice and enjoy what you're doing.